Hey there, I'm pharmacist Benjamin Knight Fuchs, registered pharmacist, nutritionist, and cosmetic chemist, and this is Skin Matters, the program where we talk about all things skin, all things the body's largest organ, all things our favorite organ, at least in terms of the amount of attention and the amount of dollars that we spend on the skin. On our last Skin Matters program, we talked about exercising the skin, i.e. exfoliating the skin. We talked about how you stimulate the skin. And we also talked about the structure of the skin and how important it is to understand the structure of the skin if you're going to maximize the health and beauty of the skin. The health and beauty of the skin are dependent on how well the skin functions. And in biochemistry and biology, we have a concept called structure function, which is about the relationship between the structure of the skin and the function of the skin. In order to take advantage of skincare products, we really have to understand both how the skin functions and the skin's structure. The skin is a microcosm of the body. And what I mean by that, it has the same structural properties as the body, but in an organ-like fashion, in a smaller fashion, in a fractal-like fashion. So the skin is composed, much like the body is composed, of two major components, cells and stuff. Now, obviously, scientists don't call the stuff, they call it extracellular matrix. I call it stuff because it sounds a little bit more, it's a little bit more easy to understand than extracellular matrix. So this cells and stuff are analogous to raisin bread. Raisin bread is made up of two compartments or two sections, two components, raisins and bread, quite obviously. The body and the skin are likewise made up of two components. They're made up of cells and stuff, the cells being analogous to raisins and the stuff being analogous to the bread. So the body and the skin are composed like raisin bread, of cells and stuff instead of raisins and bread, except for one thing. The raisin bread in the body is magical raisin bread. In fact, the raisins are magic raisins. It was as if you had a handful of raisins and you put them on your counter and you went out and did your business and came back and you looked at the counter where you put the raisins and all of a sudden, instead of raisins, you had raisin bread. It was as if the raisins made their own bread. This is kind of how the body is. See, the cells and stuff are like raisin bread, but the cells are magical raisins because the cells make the stuff. And then, in turn, the stuff feeds and oxygenates and electrifies and detoxifies the cells. It's like a big circle. The cells make the stuff, and the stuff sustains the cells. In fact, the stuff is called the matrix, which means womb. And you can think of kind of the cells as being a baby, and the way the womb feeds a baby and nourishes a baby, detoxifies a baby, oxygenates a baby. The stuff does the same thing with the cells. So you got the skin is composed and the body are composed like raisin bread of cells and stuff, where the cells make the stuff and the stuff feeds and sustains and nourishes the cells. So here's the thing. In the skin, if you want to have beautiful skin and you're trying to change the function of the skin, the health of the skin, the appearance of the skin with topical skincare, you can't work at the level of the stuff. You got to be at the level of the cell. And this is the missing link in skincare. We're addressing the stuff, not the cell. The stuff is all the things that came out of the cell. You're not going to be able to change the quality or the function or the appearance of the skin by working at the level of the stuff. You gotta be at the level of the cell. And that, my friends, is the missing link in skincare. Skincare as we know it today is about treating the stuff, not the cell. So effective skincare has to be at the level of the cell in order to change the appearance, the function, the health, the beauty of the skin. Here's the thing. We don't see the cells. We just see the stuff. And that's why we're satisfied or we're conditioned to, or we don't know any different other than to put product on the stuff. If you want to have healthy, beautiful skin, you got to be at the level of the cell. But the problem is we don't see the cell, and the cell is located deep underneath the stuff. Now, as we talked about in our last episode, our last Skin Matters episode, the skin is layered, it's stratified. The surface, it's called the stratum corneum, or the hard layer, is hard. It's a barrier. It's specifically a barrier to water. That's its most important function. It also protects against mechanical damage, environmental damage, solar damage, but its real job, its most important job is to protect against water. It's kind of like a raincoat on the surface of the skin. So that means that if you want to get to the cells which are down below, you've got to somehow figure out a way to traverse, to get through that stratum corneum barrier. Now, we talked a little bit about exfoliation and exercise and disturbing the stratum corneum barrier on our last Skin Matters episode. But today what I want to talk about is the specific cells that are underneath the stratum corneum at the bottom layer of the skin and what they need in order to change, in order to be healthier, in order to create health changes, in order to create beauty changes on the surface of the skin. So the cells are located beneath the skin surface. You got to get through that barrier and you got to get down to the bottom. So let's talk a little bit about the cells. We've got two main cells that we want to address if we're interested in anti-aging the skin and changing the hydration qualities of the skin, making the skin glow, giving the skin a beautiful, healthy, youthful appearance. There's two main cells that we have to address. The first is called a keratinocyte, and that's a cell that makes keratin. That's technically the skin cell. When we talk about the skin cell, mostly we're talking about the keratinocyte. Then you have another cell, which is even deeper in the lower levels of the skin, which is called the dermis, and that's the fibroblast. And the fibroblast is a cell that makes fibers. Blast in biochemistry refers to a cell that is making something. Fibroblast is a cell that makes fibers. Specifically, it makes collagen fibers. It also makes fibers like elastin and reticulin. It also makes mushy stuff. In fact, the fibroblast actually makes some of the matrix or the stuff that we talk about that lives in the lower levels of the skin. Some of the components that come out of the fibroblast that form the matrix are high hyaluronic acid and glycosaminoglycans. There's big words to describe them. It's mostly mushy stuff. So you got the fibroblasts, which are making fibers and mushy stuff, glycosaminoglycans and such. And then you have the keratinocyte, which is making keratin. Here's the thing. If you want to have beautiful skin, if you want to have healthy skin, and healthy skin is beautiful skin, you've got to figure out what that keratinocyte needs and what that fibroblast needs to be able to function effectively to do its business so the stuff, the part of the skin that we see is beautiful. The most important ingredients, the most important substances that a cell needs, and not just the fibroblast and the keratinocyte, all cells need is food. Now, food to a cell is not the same as food to us, but the building blocks of the foods that we eat are the kind of foods that cells need. Cells don't eat hamburgers. They don't eat broccoli. They don't eat pizza. Cells need vitamins. They need amino acids. They need fatty acids. And they need minerals. And to a certain extent, for protection, they need something called phytonutrients. Phyto means plant. They need plant nutrients. And that's all a cell needs. Vitamins, minerals, fatty acids, amino acids, and phytonutrients. And that's all a cell needs for it to be able to function maximally so the skin can be beautiful and healthy. Now, for the most part, the vitamins, the minerals, the fatty acids, the amino acids, and the phytonutrients get to the cell through what we eat. We eat a food, it goes into our digestive system, it crosses over from the intestine, it goes into the blood, it gets delivered through the bloodstream to all the various cells, including the skin cells. And make no mistake about it, if you want to have healthy, beautiful skin, you got to make sure you're eating correctly. You got to make sure you're getting your vitamins. You got to make sure you're getting your minerals, your amino acids, your fatty acids, and your phytonutrients. You have to make sure that you're ingesting these things so they can get into the bloodstream and get delivered to the cells of the skin, as to the cells of the heart, or the cells of the liver, or the bone, or any other cells. And when it comes to beautiful, healthy skin, you better believe what you eat plays the largest role in how the skin will appear from a physical perspective. However, because the skin is outside, because it's external in a way that the liver or the heart or the bone are not, there are things we can do from the outside in with the skin that we can't do with the other organs that are located inside the body. In other words, we can feed the skin from the outside in. This is amazing. In fact, the most important ingredients that you can ever use in a skincare product are going to be food, nutrition, vitamins, minerals, fatty acids, amino acids, and phytonutrients. In fact, if you're not using those 5 classes of substances, those 5 classes of food substances, those 5 classes of nutritional substances in your skincare products, you're completely missing the boat on topical skincare. Vitamins, minerals, amino acids, fatty acids, and phytonutrients are undoubtedly, without question, the most important active ingredients you can put on your skin. Now, of all the vitamins, minerals, fatty acids, amino acids, and phytonutrients, there are 2 ingredients that stand out in importance for the skin. We're going to talk about one of these today, and we'll talk about the next one on our next Skin Matters episode. The first one, which is the most important topical ingredient that you could ever put on your skin, the most important topical ingredient that you could ever put on your skin is vitamin C. Now, most people these days have heard of vitamin C topically, and I remember when I started formulating with vitamin C back in the 1990s, it was just completely bizarre. People would say, "Why are you putting vitamin C on your skin? That's really weird. You should be taking vitamin C, but what's it going to do on your skin?" Well, as a pharmacist, I knew that vitamin C plays a really important role in skin health. In fact, the disease that's caused by vitamin C deficiency, which is called scurvy, has a lot of skin health manifestations, including dry skin, skin that doesn't heal, skin that is easily bruised. A lot of the signs of aging skin are similar to the signs of the skin signs of scurvy. So I kind of knew that vitamin C played a role in skin health, and I just made an intuitive leap that, hey, if it works internally for the skin, maybe we should be putting it topically on the skin. Well, 35 years later, everybody's doing it. In fact, vitamin C is the most searched for internet term, is most searched for term when it comes to skincare on the internet. So everybody's using vitamin C for the skin. And most people, even people who aren't skincare aficionados like you and I, know about vitamin C for the skin and using vitamin C topically. However, it's not that simple because there are different forms of vitamin C. And in fact, the most commonly used form of vitamin C is the most ineffective form of vitamin C. Let me say that again. Lots of people know about vitamin C for the skin, but there's different forms, and the most commonly used form of vitamin C is the most ineffective. All right, let's backtrack a little bit. We said the stratum corneum, the skin surface, is water. It's a water barrier. It's impermeable to water. It's like a raincoat on the surface of the skin. And that's a good thing because one of the ways that we die, or we get die from burns, is the stratum corneum gets broken down from a burn. It gets destroyed from a burn, and we evaporate. Our body dries out. It desiccates. So this stratum corneum barrier assures that water will stay in the skin. And that's a good thing. It also makes sure water will stay out in the skin. That's why you don't dissolve into a puddle every time it rains. So this raincoat stratum corneum, this barrier to water, is very functional and very important, but it's a problem when it comes to trying to get down below to the cells with certain ingredients. That is, ingredients that are water soluble. See, there's 2 kinds of ingredients. You have ingredients that dissolve in water. Those are said to be water soluble. And then you have ingredients that dissolve in oil. Those are said to be oil soluble. Water soluble, the fancy chemistry term for water soluble is hydrophilic. The term for fat soluble is lipophilic. So hydrophilic ingredients will have a problem penetrating through the water impermeable stratum corneum. In fact, if you want to get penetration through that stratum corneum, which we do because we got to get to the level of the cell, we don't want to just be at the level of the stuff, we want to be at the cell, you got to have a certain degree of lipophilicity, that is fat solubility. Here's the problem when it comes to vitamin C. See, the main form of vitamin C, the one most people are using, which is called ascorbic acid, is hydrophilic. It's water soluble, so it doesn't penetrate through the skin surface. So people are spending money on their vitamin C product, which is ascorbic acid, and it's sitting on the surface of the skin. That's not where you want your vitamin C. The activity, the benefits of vitamin C are achieved when the vitamin C is at the level of the cell, which is down beneath at the level of the keratinocyte, which is the bottom of the skin surface, the epidermis, or the level of the fibroblast, which is lower still in the dermis. So, number one, the kind of vitamin C most people are using that most products contain, ascorbic acid, is water soluble, doesn't penetrate very effectively, is not going to get to where it needs to be, which is the level of the skin cell, whether it's the keratinocyte or the fibroblast. That's problem number one, probably the biggest problem. But there's another problem. See, hydrophilic vitamin C breaks down quickly. Vitamin C reacts with water, which destroys it. Vitamin C in the ascorbic acid form is broken down by water to form an oxidized or rusted, if you will, form of vitamin C that's brown and ineffective. So, number one, ascorbic acid doesn't penetrate through the stratum corneum, so it's not going to get to the skin cells. And number two, ascorbic acid, when it's in water, breaks down quickly. It turns brown. So you may buy an ascorbic acid containing product that has 10% ascorbic acid or 15% or 20%, but by the time you put it on your skin a week or 2 weeks or a month or 3 months later, you may only have 5% or 4% or 3% actual ascorbic acid. In fact, you can see that an ascorbic acid containing product will turn brown right in the bottle. It'll have a brown crust on the surface. It'll be brown inside the bottle. Sometimes it's brown even on the shelf at the store. That means that the vitamin C, the ascorbic acid, is broken down. It's no longer effective. So number one, ascorbic acid is problematic because it doesn't penetrate. Number two, ascorbic acid breaks down quickly. But there's the third problem. Ascorbic acid is an acid, which means it will sting if you put it on a cut or a scrape. It will be irritating to the skin. It will be drying to the skin. It will be an uncomfortable product to use. So for 3 reasons, the kind of vitamin C most people are using is not satisfactory. For 3 reasons, the kind of vitamin C most people are using is not allowing them to maximize the benefits of vitamin C. It's water soluble, it doesn't penetrate, it breaks down quickly, and it's drying and irritating for the skin, and it doesn't feel comfortable when you put it on broken skin. And vitamin C, being a healing vitamin, should be put on broken skin because it accelerates healing. So you say, why is it that people are using hydrophilic vitamin C? Well, the reason is nobody knows the difference, number one. And number two, vitamin C in its water-soluble form, ascorbic acid, is cheap, really cheap. And skincare companies make a lot of money selling this cheap form of vitamin C, and because nobody knows the difference, excuse me, they get away with it. So what is the solution? Well, we want vitamin C on the skin because vitamin C is critical for driving the production of fibers, driving the production of the gooey substances that come out of the fibroblasts, the high hyaluronic acid, the glycosaminoglycans. Vitamin C is protective for the skin. Vitamin C helps skin cells grow correctly. Vitamin C is important for stabilizing moisture factors, lipids, skin fats. Vitamin C is important for pigmentation. Vitamin C's got tremendous, tremendous value for the skin. So we want to be using vitamin C, but the hydrophilic vitamin C is very unsatisfactory. So what's the solution? Fat-soluble, lipophilic vitamin C. And there's a few different forms of lipophilic vitamin C, but the most commonly used, the one I like the best, is called THDA. You might have heard of it because it's been getting a lot of press, especially if you're a skincare aficionado like I am. THDA stands for tetrahexyldecyl ascorbate. We'll just call it THDA. THDA is lipophilic vitamin C, which means it will penetrate through the stratum corneum. It will get down to the lower levels where the skin cell resides, where the keratinocyte resides, and it will get down into the lower levels in the dermis where the fibroblast resides. That way, it can turn on the fibroblast. It can stimulate the production of collagen and elastin and reticulin and hyaluronic acid and the glycosaminoglycans or GAGs. It will turn on the keratinocyte, activate its growth, activate its shape shifting. Remember we talked about that on our last Skin Matters episode. And it will help with pigmentation. It will protect skin lipids and skin fats. It will achieve its sun protective benefits. And by the way, vitamin C actually has a small SPF and is an ideal sunscreen ingredient. So you get all the benefits of cell activation at the level of the keratinocyte, the skin cell, and the fibroblast in the dermis with fat-soluble vitamin C by virtue of its ability to traverse the stratum corneum. And because it's fat-soluble, it doesn't oxidize when it's not in water. It doesn't turn brown if it's not contacting water. It doesn't lose its potency over time the way ascorbic acid does. And because it's lipophilic, because it's fatty, it soothes cuts and scrapes. It doesn't burn them. It doesn't cause irritation. It softens and hydrates the skin. So if you're going to use vitamin C on your skin, and you should, because of all the wonderful anti-aging benefits, because of all the wonderful cell health benefits and cell activation benefits, because of its protective benefits for skin fats and for the skin itself, because of its ability to even skin tone, you want to use THDA, fat-soluble vitamin C. You won't have to worry about oxidation. You won't have to worry about your product sitting on the surface of the skin. You won't have to worry about irritation or dryness. When you're using your THDA product, your vitamin C product, look for high concentrations. Don't be satisfied with just seeing fat-soluble vitamin C on the ingredient deck or on the product label. Look for the concentrations. I recommend high concentrations. In biochemistry, we have a phenomenon that's called driving, and that means pushing active ingredients through the skin surface. You always want high concentrations, or high concentrations as is feasible with ingredients on the surface of the skin to push them through to the bottom. And with vitamin C, you want to look for 20, 30%, 40%. I formulate with 70, 60, 70% THDA to get maximum benefits. So the most important ingredients for the health of the skin are going to be ingredients that activate the skin cell, that don't just sit on the skin surface, that don't interact with the stuff, but interact with the cell itself. Those are going to be nutritional ingredients: vitamins, minerals, fatty acids, amino acids, and phytonutrients. Yes, it's true. You want to be ingesting them orally so they go into the bloodstream and get delivered to the skin cell. But with the skin, because the skin is on the outside of the body, we can access the cell from the outside in. But we have to do it correctly. In order to do it, we got to bypass that stratum corneum, meaning we have to have a certain degree of fat solubility. The two most important, by far, active ingredients, nutritional ingredients that you can use in a topical skincare product are number one, vitamin C, and number two, what we're going to talk about on our next Skin Matters episode, which is a vitamin that is super, super fascinating, but a little tricky to understand, but a vitamin that everybody should be using topically, just like they should be using vitamin C, and that's vitamin A. All right, so that's it for today's Skin Matters episode. I'm pharmacist Benjamin Knight Fuchs. Don't forget to subscribe to Skin Matters, and we'll talk to you on our next episode. Bye.